Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we got something rather unusual today, and it was literally only by chance that we managed to catch it. Now what you're about to see is a female Hogna carolinensis, wolf spider, the Carolina wolf spider. We got a mature female here. We've been looking for a male for a long time, and we've not managed to find one. So if anyone out there has got a mature male and they're in the UK, please hit me up, let me know. I'll be very interested in taking him from you. Now, I came in the other morning at first light, flicked the lights on, and I saw her she'd just finished laying the mat over the floor where they start to produce an egg sac. So what they do is they actually lay a silk mat on the floor. All spiders do this. They lay that silk mat on the floor, and then they lay their eggs on top of that, and then they fold that up and they do it all. So we know that this female hasn't been put with a male. So we know that this is going to be what we call a phantom egg sac. Now, we quite often get phantom egg sacs, and I often get asked, what do you do when you get a phantom egg sac? Well, if you've just got a spider come in, and for argument's sake, it's a wild caught spider, and it produces an egg sac, then the best thing to do is leave her alone with it. Let her get on with it, because there's a very, very high possibility that that sac could be fertile if she was wild caught. So in that instance, we leave them with it. If you buy a spider privately off of someone and they say, oh, well, we sort of paired it, could have been months and months ago. If she produces a sac, again, leave her with it. Unless you're for certain, for certain that your female has not been in with a male, I would leave them with it. If, on the other hand, we get a female like in this case, I would leave her with the egg sac just for a day or two, let her carry it around, and then I would take it away. Because the main reason being, we don't want our female spider losing condition while she's carrying around an egg sac that's never going to come to anything. So it's much more beneficial to the spider to actually deprive her of this egg sac, take it away. There's nothing in it. It's not fertile. So take it away. She will forget about it straight away, and she will feed and she will drink and do everything that she needs to do normally, but she will maintain that conditioning that she already possesses. So it's a really, really good thing. So in that instance, we would retrieve it. We would just take it away, deprive her of it. Now, what we see in this video is really, really unusual. I've not seen it before. And it's not something that we normally catch, I say, I've never seen it before. So this is a new one for me. So watch the video and see what you think. And then we will come back and, have a little chat about it. Right. I hope you enjoy it. It's not very long. It's about 6 minutes. It's in fast forward. We're given a little commentary alongside it to try and explain a few little bits and pieces. But yeah, stick with it. Just see what you think to it. It really is rather interesting, and it offers up a lot of questions. Right, I'll see you back in a minute. Well, here we are. This is our Hogna carolinensis, and as I came into the spider room, into the beastie room, I noticed she'd just laid down this mat. Now, this is first thing in the morning, so we've just put the lights on, and she's obviously been working away at this at night. And I was just on my way out to work, so I set the camera up and just recorded what she was doing next. Now, this girl hasn't actually been paired, so we know that this sac is going to be an infertile sac. But it's still an interesting process to actually watch her and what she does. And indeed, what she does has really, really surprised me. And it's such an interesting thing to witness these different things, and it just sort of shows us, you know, that there is a far, far bigger picture going on in the world of our spiders. We really are only just touching the surface of what we think we know and understand of these amazing creatures. Now, as you can see there, she's actually laid down a web base, which is normal for when they're doing their egg sacs. They lay down a silk mat over the floor, and many spiders do it in different ways. Now, with these guys, they literally just lay the sac on the floor, and then they lay the silk mat on the floor, then they lay their eggs inside the silk on top of it, which is what she's doing now. You can see there it's actually a clear fluid all over. Now, an interesting thing here is we would have expected to see the fluid to be yellow in colour. But as we can see there, you can see she's constantly dipping in, which suggests she's actually laying eggs. Now, we've speeded this up somewhat. This actually did take around about 4 hours, and we've speeded it up and done a little bit. Well, and it's in fast forward, as we say at the moment. As you can see there, she's dipping her abdomen in. We're not really seeing any eggs. Every now and again you see what you think is maybe eggs, but we're not seeing much at all. Lots of fluid. You notice how she keeps going around and around in circles. She's clearly depositing something. Now, this is the first time we've managed to catch one of our wolf spiders doing anything like this kind of behaviour. So maybe their eggs are clear, but I doubt it. Because when we've had egg sacs in the past and we've pulled them because we know that they're going to be infertile, if we know it's infertile, then quite often I will let the female carry it for a day or two, and then I will take it away from her. Because as long as she carries it, she won't feed, she won't drink, she won't do anything. She's just going to be looking after this sac that's of no use to her. So I normally take them away. There is absolutely no point in leaving a sac with a female that we know for a fact is not going to be a viable sac. All we're doing is losing condition on that female. Now, as you can see with this girl here, she is in absolutely perfect condition. She's got a lovely big abdomen. And we'd like to maintain this, because hopefully we will find a male at some point in the future and we can try and breed this girl. But as you can see there, she's in wonderful condition. Now, it's not unusual for females to produce eggs, and they then produce what we call these phantom egg sacs. There you go, look, she's having a little rest now. Hard work. So yeah, they have produced these phantom egg sacs, and like we were saying, every now and again they will carry them, and at other times they will eat them. Now, you notice there she's pulling up the edges of the sac. This is because she's finished now. She's deposited the eggs or whatever, and she's now lifting the edges up. Now, an interesting thing to note here is how she's laid that on top of moss, on top of dry moss. And it's interesting to see that when she lifts the edges, they don't stick to the moss. You see how it comes up cleanly? And you've often heard me say before that our spiders use different types of web for different reasons. And obviously an egg sac, the silk used for an egg sac, is different to silk that they line their burrows in. It's different to the silk that they put outside their burrows or use for traps for catching insects and things. It's all very, very different. Now, as you can see there, she's not actually rolling this up. She is just folding this in, and she's now eating it. So it makes me wonder whether there was actually any eggs in it at all. She's gone through the process, but I don't think she actually produced any eggs. You'll also see that her abdomen hasn't really changed in size or anything. It's still exactly the same size as it was before. So a very, very strange occurrence has happened here. You can see there she's having a mooch about. She goes back to it. She sucks up any goodness that's in it, any valuable hydration that she can get from that, and it's all gone. Now, if we hadn't have caught her in the early hours, actually starting this process, this would have all gone on, and we would never have known anything about it. We would have been none the wiser as to what has just happened. And to be fair, we're a little confused. Well, I said it is a little unusual, and I have never seen this before myself. And I've been doing this a long time. Now, you would have seen there that our wolf spider, she'd laid that mat as we were talking about in the beginning. They all do this. They lay that silk mat over the floor, and then they deposit their eggs on top of the silk mat, and then they wrap them up, and that's what produces that round egg sac. And you would have seen in many of our videos where we pull an egg sac from a female, I often show you what is top and what is bottom to an egg sac. And when they fold that up, you end up with that creased line. And this is what I sort of class as the top of the egg sac. This is where they've mounded it all up and they pinch it together. And that's what produces that line. Now, you would have seen in this particular instance, our female, she spent a good few hours producing this. And what happened was, because I found it first thing in the morning, I had to go to work. So I didn't have time to actually sit and watch what was going on. So I set the camera up and I just left it running. And off I went to work. And when I came back, I got to check the footage. And the first thing I'd done as soon as I got home, I looked in the enclosure, see there was no egg sac, and I thought, oh, wow, she's obviously taken it off. She's hidden around the back of the enclosure with her egg sac. So I thought, we'll give her a few days and we'll see what happens. And I just left her to it. Didn't do anything. Topped the water up, and that was it. I didn't do any more. Now, when I come to check the camera and I had a look at the video, I saw just what had happened. And I was a little bit surprised. Now, one of the things that really stood out was when you see her dipping her abdomen in, it looks like she's going through the process of laying eggs. So they deposit eggs in there in a fluid, and it's literally like a soup. And they literally just deposit them all in there. Well, normally we would expect that to be a yellow colour. And as you've seen in the video, there was no coloration to it. It was all clear. So that in itself suggested to me that maybe there was no eggs in it. So maybe she was going through the process, but she hadn't actually developed any eggs, which is a little strange in itself. So that aside, she then carried on and she'd done all of her thing. And then you saw she rested a couple of times. Well, in actual real time, them rests were around about 20 to 30 minutes at a time. So they were really quite a long time. In all, our camera was running for around about 4.5 hours. And it spent most of that time she was mucking around doing this thing. Now, when we saw that the fluid was clear, so we didn't actually see any eggs. And then you saw her starting to lift the edges up. So she's getting ready to wrap this sac up and make an egg sac. But you would have seen there, it just didn't, she didn't seem to be too sort of really with it. It's like she knew there was something going on. Maybe she knew, she must know that there was no eggs there, maybe. There was just no coloration or anything. One of the interesting things that came about was when you saw her lifting up the edge of the silk mat, you would have seen there that it doesn't stick to the bottom. It doesn't stick to the floor, the substrate, or in this case, it was on moss, and it didn't stick to the moss. And you'd have heard me say many times in our videos that our spiders use different silks for different jobs. And this was really apparent today when we saw with that egg sac, you notice how it didn't stick to the moss. If that had been normal silk that you see when you open up an enclosure and there's silk everywhere, it sticks to your fingers, it sticks to the roof, it sticks to everything. That's a different style. It's a different type of silk, and they're all used for different purposes. So it really stands out what I've been trying to say for so long now, that there is so many different types of silk produced. depending on what that spider wants to do at that particular time. So that was a really, really interesting point. And then we saw her, she literally pulled it all up, and it didn't really come to anything, did it? Normally what would have happened is when she'd finished depositing eggs, she would have laid silk all over the top of that. And we would have ended up with a complete mat of silk all over the top, which would have sealed that fluid inside that cocoon. And then when she pulls it all up and wraps it up, that would have given us our substance. It would have given us the size of our egg sac and everything. It would have all been there. She obviously knew that this was of no use whatsoever, but she's gone through the procedure. She's pulled it all up, and then you saw her, she ate it. And they literally just suck it out. So she'd suck back all of that fluid. Now, another thing that points to the theory that maybe there was no eggs involved, there was no eggs inside this particular procedure that she's done, is the fact that you would have noticed on her body condition, she didn't lose any conditioning whatsoever. So she's dropped a little bit of fluid in there, but she's not lost any condition. Now, normally with our females, they go in, they're really plump. When you see them produce an egg sac, their abdomens shrink down to almost a half, sometimes 2/3 of the size of what they were originally. So they actually lose a huge amount of conditioning when they get rid of all these eggs. So you imagine all of these eggs are taking up all that space in the abdomen. When they lay them all, the abdomen shrinks right down, really, really small. And we didn't see that with this female. Her condition stayed the same. So again, that points to the fact that there was no eggs. But one of the interesting things that really stands out with this thing that we've witnessed is it made me really think about it. How many times does this sort of thing go on inside our enclosures and we never knew about it? You know, I come into my room every day and I look around at my enclosures and I see what's going on. And I sort of sit there and I think, oh, I feel like I've got a handle on what's going on with the individual lives of all of these different spiders. You know, you learn a little bit every day. And I'm always saying to you guys, you know, forget about all the information, all the stuff that you research and you Google on, you know, on the net and what have you. Spend a little bit of time and just watch and understand your spider. You know, get to learn its little intricacies, the little things that makes it tick, the things that it gives away every day with its behaviour. And this made me think, you know, I feel like I understand a lot of my spiders, but how many times has this gone on and I've never ever seen it? I've never noticed it before. So it just goes to show, it doesn't matter how clued up we think we are, how clever we think we are, we never really understand the full potential of what goes on inside these enclosures, inside these little mini worlds all along the wall, you know? And it's something that's really, really quite amazing. And it makes you think, you know, it opens your mind up. You sit there now and you think to yourself, wow, you know, how many times has something like this happened? Never knew about it. How many times has a spider produced an egg sac with eggs in it? We never even knew about it. You know, because some of our spiders, they disappear for a month or two at a time, you know. And we often think that because they're disappearing, they're going into pre-molt. Maybe they've actually had a phantom sac, eaten it, then come back out again. We will never, ever know unless we're lucky enough to actually witness it, or we see an egg sac, or there comes another clue that lets us, you know, into that world. Lets us sort of like make some kind of decision as to what's going on. So it really, really, really has bolstered my enthusiasm again. You know, I just want to look at things and I sort of sit there and think, oh, there is so little I actually know. Really is. There is so little. And I'm always saying, you know, we learn something new every day. And cool, do we ever? It's a fantastic thing. Now again, it's sort of I'm sitting here now. We're on camera, and I'm looking around my room as we're talking, and many of my spiders are all out. Now this is I'm recording this now, and it's around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Many of my spiders are out and about. My Sabar Blues are out, my ornamentals are out, my Ruffulatas are out, the Salem ornamental, she's out. 4 of my Metallicas are out, you know. Panama Blonde, she's out. Erminia, she's out, you know. All of my Avics are actually out on show. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And we often hear, you know, about spiders that we don't get to see, you know. There is a way of seeing these spiders. There's so much we do see, and yet there is so much that we don't. Absolutely fascinating. As we were saying, I actually thought it'd be a little bit wicked of me not to show these spiders after I've just mentioned them. So here's our female Ruffulata sitting out in the front glass, and she's busy having a little bit of a clean, sorting herself out, and she looked beautiful. Look at those feet. Remember, it's light refraction on the hairs on their feet that give them this iridescence and that different colouring. Look at that. Blues and purples, and depending on which way we go around with the light, depends on how it is. Oh, we lost a bit of focus there. Come back, come back. And get back in there. There we go. So she's having a good clean there. You see that fang work? Now this girl hasn't long produced an egg sac. And as you can see, this is a Ruffulata, and she is very, very comfortable out and about. Sitting out right out in the open. Look at that. And next door to her, we have the Salem ornamental. She is up the back there. Now this girl also has recently produced an egg sac. So looking really, really nice. Let's see who else we got. Oh, here we have a Subfusca lowland. This is a spider we've not shown on the channel before. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous spiders. And again, middle of the day. Middle of the day, sitting outside. We go up top now. We see one of our Metallicas. There she is. Again, middle of the day. Now we often hear that the Metallica is fearful of light. Mine don't seem to mind it. There we go. Another one there. We can just get the camera to focus. There we go. Oh, a little bit short-lived. There we go. Now these are all adult females. There's another one there. Just see her bum disappearing. These are all Metallicas, and this is middle of the afternoon. There we go. There's another one. More than happy to be out and about. Another one there. Metallicas don't mind the light. Here we go. Here's come and have a look here. This is one of our Hatties. She's sitting out. She's getting ready for food. Next to her, we have the Panama Blonde. Another one. She's having a little bit of a clean up, sorting herself out. Very, very cool. Now then, we're going to let you into a little secret now. How about down here? Look at that. That there is a versicolor on an egg sac. It's having a bit of trouble. There we go. Having a bit of trouble focusing on there. Yeah, that's a versicolor on an egg sac. And we can see up here some of our other avics, all out and about. Another one up there. Just really, really cool. And then we come down the bottom. What we got going on down here? That's a Sabar blue. Sitting out and about. What else we got? This we have. This is our female striata. Sitting out again. As you can see, they've got plenty of places to hide away. But these guys are all sitting out. We also have another Sabar blue here. Looking very gravid. Looking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yes. So then guys, just a little look at just a few of our spiders out on show this afternoon. Very, very cool. Fascinating. Right. Well, I hope you enjoy that. And if you've got any theories on it, do put them down in the comments. I'd love to know what people think about it. Maybe you have seen something like this yourselves in your spiders. You know, maybe you've witnessed a very similar thing. It's something I've never seen before. So yeah, I really am. Really, every time I see something I've never seen before, it shocks me. And I think that is one of the wonderful parts of this hobby. There is always new things to learn, new stuff happening all the time. So yes, put it down in the comments. Please do. Don't forget, hit that like button. It really, really makes a massive, massive difference. Massive difference to the channel. And it really does help support the channel as well. You know, honestly, it does a world of difference. So please, please hit the like button if you can. Right then, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.